bullying and what you were saying about being dysregulated. And I was like, I feel dysregulated right now.
I know. I was like, I need to ground myself. What can I do? And so I'm like, I'm going to take a breath. It's
I
so
know, I
helpful,
know.
though. That's what I do all the time now.
It is so helpful. I know. And, I took a training years and years and years ago when I was thinking about this, and it was like with bully behavior, it really just comes from a place of being dysregulated, right?
Yeah, it really
And
does.
huh?
It does. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. Keep going.
Oh, yeah, yeah, okay, okay. So it just really comes from this deep place of being dysregulated and not having the tools to
Mm-hmm.
say what it is that you really need or want in the moment. And also some other trainings and experiences that I've had lately, it really comes from a place of rejection, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
And so there's this framework that talks about when you see a bullying behavior like Anastasia, I'm lashing out at you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we need to know the why that led right up before that.
Okay.
And so I think a lot of times we're just in reaction, like
Mm-hmm.
we're just reacting to like Jamie lashed out at Anastasia and now there's going to be a consequence, right?
Yep. Yep.
A loss of a privilege or whatever. And there's accountability and for sure in all of that and holding kids to a standard or adults too, right? Adults. But oftentimes it's like, well, what happened to Jamie right up before then? Like what need wasn't being met
Yeah.
that she's trying to get met, or right, like sadness in your heart, isolation, loneliness, um, all of those things.
So did you say you had taken a class recently on this?
Yeah, I did, and it was pretty enlightening actually because one of the scenarios that they used that I really really like, I in addition to many different hats that I wear, I also run an online. I also run an after school program.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the scenarios in this framework that they were talking about, one of the scenarios was a gal. Um, I'm just going to use our names right now. Like
Yeah.
so, Jamie walks into this after school program and she sees her favorite, over 18er there, right? Anastasia. Well, Anastasia meets and greets Jamie, also is meeting and greeting the other kids, and also is like getting games and stuff set up for other kids, right?
Yeah.
So very busy, right? And so then Jamie feels lonely, like her needs weren't being met because she needed some more connection with
Yeah.
Anastasia. So in order to get that, because I'm trained that if I do something that I don't know is considered naughty or acting out or defiant, I know that the
Yeah.
consequence is going to be more time with Anastasia.
Yeah.
So in this scenario, then Jamie takes one of the board games, throws it up, like, and so then Anastasia comes over, helps Jamie, right? Because we want to be tender, we want to be soft, helps Jamie with it. And then ultimately, Anastasia stops setting up the rest of the board games and now is sitting with Jamie and like two other people playing a board game. So Jamie got what she wanted
Yeah.
by her bad behavior. Not bad
Yeah.
behavior, the lashing out behavior, right?
Right.
So it's really telling, I think, and hard that I don't know if it's a lack of just being present, right? Um, from your group in December, but trying to be as present as possible
Mm-hmm.
to connect in a meaningful way, and also teaching these kids and adults how to say what they need. Hey, Anastasia, like, and right, we're talking about little kids, but like, I just have had a hard day and I need some like connection.
Mm-hmm.
And also, right, and also like training Anastasia how to see that from the kid and be connected, that these kids aren't just numbers that they're kind of keeping vertical for a while, and saying like, oh, I can really tell that Jamie's dysregulated. This isn't her normal behavior. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to ask her to like be my helper or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So because now what's happening is that Jamie, am like getting trained that instead of talking about and saying what I need, that I
Mm-hmm.
can act out and I'll get what I need, which is the exact opposite of what we're trying to do.
Yeah. And so for a parent, I think you could put this in the same scenario, very similar.
Sure.
So what are,
Yeah.
what are your
100%.
thoughts? Yeah. So for a parent that comes home from work and is
Oh,
tired,
yeah.
right? And so what would they do? What that would look like?
Oh gosh, I was just thinking about that. Like a parent comes home from work, like you're dropping your bags, you're instantly getting dinner started, you're trying to have a meaningful connection with I don't know, 2, 3 kids. They all have a different need. They all want you right now. You got to get dinner on the table. You need to decompress from your day. I'm not exactly sure what the answer is.
Okay.
Like a
Okay.
good a good system and I think and I well the more that parents can be honest in the moment, right? And say, oh man, you guys, maybe we need a grounding technique, right? And
Yeah.
let's look each other in our eyes, take 5 minutes, see what we need, like a quick check in. And then how can we all like prep out dinner or get some of our chores done so that we can try and do something engaging and meaningful. But it feels like that evening time just slips away quicker and quicker, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's really hard for parents, especially if both people are working and they come home and especially when you're talking about little ones that really need you, they really need that connection. And so if you have a child that really needs it and they act out and aren't able to regulate themselves, they still need you to help with regulation. So it's really figuring out how to make that happen because you can't cook dinner and do that at the same. I mean, you're really going to have to
Yeah.
um, think about your schedule, plan things out differently. It's really a lot of preventative work in that. And when I say that, I mean like thinking about how is the day going to look totally, especially if you have a kid that is you're used to them needing a lot of regulation when they get home.
Right. Well, I think that's too where it kind of goes back to strong systems. Like
Yes. Yes.
and I think for a long time we all want to live in this magical flow state. But
Mm-hmm.
in that magical flow state, that gets achieved by having a lot of strong systems in place so that you can be in that flow state.
Yeah.
So just now in that I was thinking about in our house, like we have a very strong system. Thursday night, I write the menu for the week. We do the grocery order for the week. And then on Sundays, always, I make 2 dinners. And then that way we have warm ups for the week, or you prep out as much stuff as you can.
Mm-hmm.
So then that way it's very little prep time, or you have warm ups, or you get the crock pot going. But again, all that to say, it's back to a very strong system of what
Yeah.
is happening so that you don't. And I think too, for women, you don't always feel like you're in the kitchen, or men, like you don't feel like you're always in the kitchen
Yeah.
cooking and then that way you can have a little bit more present time and
Yeah.
simplifying food sometimes.
Yeah. And I think so. Getting back to our topic of the bullying,
Yeah.
if you have a child that is a bully or is being bullied, I think big part of this beginning part matters because when you
Yeah.
have that system, you have the availability to connect to figure out what's really happening at school or what to do to help them so they can alleviate either pain or hurting someone, like someone hurting them or them hurting someone else. So, in your experience, whenever you're dealing with like the kids that are being mean to others or bullying, what are some of the strategies that you do to help them?
Well, I think as much as possible, we try, and it's staff dependent, in that
Mm-hmm.
setting of what's happening, but really trying to make intentional eye contact and let the
Mm-hmm.
child know, like, I can see that you're really upset. I can see that something is happening. I know that we need to talk about this. Sometimes it has to wait for 10 minutes. But if
Yeah.
we can do it, if we can do it in the moment, given what's happening and what's going on, we work really hard not to dismiss kids.
Yeah.
Um, So, and trying to like give them the space to talk about what happened, and also educating ourselves to start learning on what's happening 10 minutes before, 15 minutes before, what happened during school day, and try and connect all of those pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we try and do then a lot like teaching kids breath work,
Okay.
and if we can like tell them to go out and get their hands in the grass, just a lot of grounding techniques. We have been starting to give kids clipboards with paper to see if they can draw what emotion they're feeling. Just really anything to just have space to be quiet and calm down. Headphones can be really helpful. Laying down. Our space is a little funky in that environment, but if you're at home, like really just getting kids somewhere where they're safe and they can lay down and just breathe and think about it for a minute, and with as much love and compassion that I can muster,
Mm-hmm.
do not let kids get regulated in front of a device, the
Okay,
TV.
I love that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to happen and not going to happen. And nobody's in trouble, you know, but we have to learn how to get back to getting in our bodies, and
Yeah.
being able
Yes.
to, yeah, and being able to like hear our intuition and listening to our heart space of like, where am I feeling in this in my body? Like, what's the temperature of it? What do I need right now? And it kind of goes back to that halt, right? Am
Yeah.
I, what is, yeah. So,
Mhm.
trying to teach all of that in brief little chunks of time, I like to think that it's planting a seed.
I think that I like what you said about drawing how they're feeling. Do you have like feeling posters around so they have a visual?
We don't do a great job of it in that environment, to be honest with
Not yet.
you.
Yeah.
But
Probably
I
hard.
don't, what?
It's probably hard because you guys are like probably in a cafeteria or something, right?
Yeah, and we have an office area, and depending where it goes, but I'll tell you, I don't know that that's necessarily bad, because a couple weeks ago we had these two students, and they were just going at it, been going at it during school day, going at it in our program, going at it. And we had them turn their backs from each other just to start drawing, just, and again, just getting their brain to start thinking about something differently. But like if they could just start thinking about these questions. And there was one student that was able to like, it was interesting, it wasn't what I thought it would be, but he started drawing snowflakes,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
which was curious to me for anger, because
Mm-hmm.
normally you right. And so he knew spot on what was happening, where it was happening, and it was really great. And then what was interesting is that the other student kept turning around trying to look at the other student's paper because he didn't understand what was happening.
He
So
probably
just
didn't even
seeing,
know how to do it, maybe.
yeah, yep. So I was like, so that was interesting, just that like to scale it back a little bit
Yeah.
for him, and try and get him connected just with his heart and figure out where his breathing was fast and where it was slow.
I love how you're doing the mind body stuff. So I think too, when we were growing up, if somebody's being mean or bullying you or hurting you or you're bullying someone, that was never even a conversation. It was like punishment, consequences. Even when I was teaching 20 years ago, it was really about conflict resolution and talking. And I still think that's good, but I think so much of it has to come from getting grounded first and being able to really feel where you're feeling in your body and being able to verbalize it if possible.
Yeah, yep. Have you seen, what are tools that you do when you are working with kids and with families too?
A lot of feeling pictures, posters, keeping them on the fridge, keeping them somewhere where kids can see them. Especially if you're a family that doesn't talk about feelings a lot, having that in their bedroom, having it somewhere where they can visually see pictures of feelings. And if they're really little, they won't know the words under it, but they can see the
Yeah.
face. And then just being able to really start verbalizing how they're feeling. And then having the parents start doing that too. Like, I'm really angry that blah, 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 or I'm really sad, or I'm really happy, I'm frustrated, or whatever it is. And having the kids then be able to start. I think that is so helpful because then they can talk to you about what's happening at school and
Right.
who's doing what. And so when you can start having those conversations from that heart place, it's going to move out all of that anger or sad, it's like that they're pushing down, and then they're going to be able to like feel better, and then they go to school the next day, it might happen again, they can come home and talk about it, and then you can even start talking about ways to address the situation, learn how to talk to the other person about it. But it's really important, I think, that it doesn't come from like, because you'll have the victim and then the aggressor, so it's really getting that victim to move out of that victim role.
Right. Right. Yeah. This isn't happening to me, it's happening for me, which is really difficult. I think there's a lot to be said in that, in teaching kids how to not give their power away.
Yeah. And so
Because you
that,
can't, yeah.
no, keep going.
Well, because you can't change somebody else's behavior, right? And our
Uh-uh.
job is to level up these kids so that they can face the world, because right, wrong, and different, life's going to just beat you up no matter what you do.
Yeah.
There's always a lesson to be learned, which is great. And so a lot of kids unfortunately are still just like, oh, it's no good. I mean, we see it a lot, right? And they don't have the coping skills or understand
Mhm.
the growth mindset to like kind of take some of these thoughts captive. And although you can't get behind some of the whys sometimes,
Yeah.
but know that you can change the outcome by controlling your controllables, which is how you're talking to yourself, how you're controlling your mindset, right? Like how you're planning out your days, how you're managing dysregulation, I think is all really, really important. And there's been a little bit too much permission to, I think, give passes, right? You're having a really hard day. And I get that to an extent, and I agree with it. And it's also, we're in an up leveling season. It's also time to teach kids that they are victorious and that there's so much good that happens in learning these lessons, and that's helping to prepare them for life.
Yeah. I did. So one of the big things that I think works really well is role playing.
Yeah.
And even when they're really little. So my son, Isaac, went to a Montessori school. And so he started school at like 3. And so we started a lot of this stuff at 3, 4, 5 before kindergarten. And there was a boy in his class, and it was one of those relationships where he really liked the kid and the kid really liked him. But that kid didn't really know how to have a healthy friendship. And so he was mean whenever my son would go play with somebody else. And so
Oh,
he wanted
yeah.
to play with him, but then he would bully him to play with him. So it was this really weird relationship happening. But
Yeah.
we started talking. So he would come home from school and tell me, so and so said he wasn't going to be my friend anymore. So and so kicked me when we were outside. So and so. And so instead of me calling the mom or calling the teacher, we did a lot of role playing of like, all right, so here I am. I'm so and so, and I don't want to be your friend anymore because you're playing with him. I'm not going to play with you anymore. We're not friends. And then
Right.
we'd be like, now what would you say back to me? And then we would practice, so the next day he would go back. And so when they're really little, so good to have those conversations, so many times of practicing over and over again. And so now in 7th grade, we don't have any situations really. I mean, we have conversations about kids doing stuff, but it's minor. And I think a lot of it is because of the fact that we role played over and over in those preschool years.
And I think within that, there's probably a lot of boundary setting
Mm-hmm.
with that,
Yes.
which is important,
Yeah.
and teaching kids what they want out of a friend.
Yes, what friendship looks like. Yeah, we did so
Yep.
much of that. So is that what a
Yep.
friend looks like? What does a friend look
Yep.
like to you? And so like teaching, what does it mean? Yes, you're exactly right.
Yeah. And I think it's so important too, because we also want to make sure that we're breaking this habit of kids being codependent on each other,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yep.
kind of managing their other emotions. And sometimes a lot of that can get lost nowadays. And I'm not entirely sure the why behind that, but I have been seeing a lot of that.
So tell me more about that. What do you mean?
Well, just so codependent, right? Like managing other people's feelings when they're dysregulated.
Yeah.
So if you're the regulated one in the friendship, just trying to make the other person,
Like taking care of the other person.
yeah, making sure that they're comfortable. And I think sometimes when we do that, we rob that person of learning the lesson that they need to learn, and
Mhm.
we lessen our boundaries of what we are accepting as a quality friendship or interaction,
Yeah,
because
because
we
it's kind
don't
of,
want somebody else to feel uncomfortable. But sometimes they
yeah.
need to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, and that, yes, that codependent, it's sort of abusive in a way because it's keeping that other
Yeah.
person from playing or connecting with others. And so it's using them as yeah, codependence. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's interesting. Yeah, that isn't good at all. And so it's teaching that child, both of them, that that's not a healthy relationship. And these are teaching them other strategies and things to do if that starts happening, especially if they don't want to be a part of it and not to feel guilty if you walk away.
Right, right. And they don't learn the confidence and the resilience that they need of how they're going
Hmm.
to bounce back from it.
Yeah.
So it's just a whole circle. Trying to have quality conversations with parents too is interesting, because I think in general, and I'm sure maybe you've come across this, but some parents are really engaged and really interactive and want to be part of the whole like circle of care. And then other parents just don't want anything to do with it. And that gets a little bit tougher, I think, for the kid to develop,
It
as well
is.
as for the whole ecosystem of what's happening.
Yeah, and I think too, these are other conversations parents can have with kids. It's like talking about how every family is different. We all talk to our kids in a different way. I connect with you much differently than Susie Joe over there. We connect, we've had these conversations. We've learned how to do all this, but Susie Joe has never learned it. And so really holding your boundary, be empathetic, but it's not your job to take care of them. Um, I get, yeah, it's very true. We have a lot of that kind of conversation now as he's gotten older, of just parenting differently, and that's okay. Um,
Mhm.
but you have a lot of skills because of my job. You're just lucky that you were able to learn all this. But most
Right.
kids don't have that, and so that's okay. But you don't have to teach it to them. They need to
Yep.
learn that from their teacher or their parents.
Right. And also, too, what I've noticed is, yes, having that conversation with kids, but then sometimes they still feel frozen.
Yeah.
Like, I hear what you're saying to me, I
Yes.
get it, but and also like I'm stuck in concrete. I can't quite move away from it to go do something productive and healthy for myself.
It is so hard. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're creating new neural pathways in their brains, and
Mm-hmm.
they're trying to shut off some of this like guilt, I get, like the codependence that they're hanging on to. And it can really dysregulate kids for, I've seen like 24 hours.
Yeah. And I think it's that
Um,
here again, it's the practice, right? Because they're still
yeah.
little, and every day is a new day, and we're going to practice this again tomorrow. We're
Yep.
going to
Yep.
practice this relationship with this person, and tomorrow I'm going to try this new strategy or whatever. Because they're still young, right? Because I've noticed too that those ways we have relationships when we're young, we a lot of times carry that into adulthood.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
learning those boundaries.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I had no skills growing up. I mean, I was taught just that somebody says the tiniest little criticism or critique,
Yeah.
feedback, thought to you, and then you're just like,
Yeah.
and then you stomp out, right? And then like gonna go pat, and then a couple days later you just come back with no repair conversation. It's
Yeah.
terrible. It's
Yeah. And so learn,
terrible.
yes. I love that, the repair conversation. So really working with your kids on how to do that because they're not going to figure that out on their own.
And I think too, for a lot of adults, because we are trained that we want to fix it right now. We got to fix it right now so it can be better. We can move on to this next thing, and slowing down and being present
Yes.
and giving permission that it is okay to not want to talk about it. I have
Yes.
just been learning in the last couple of weeks, really specifically, of like, instead of trying to force my agenda, just and really humbly being like, do you want to talk about anything?
Mm-hmm.
because I can see, I can tell, I know, I can feel something is happening, and just asking, do you want any help from me? Can I do anything to
Yeah.
help you?
Yeah, it's
Right?
good.
Do you want
Hmm.
to talk about it? And then walking away. Like,
Yeah.
and it is my own nervous system that is like my own anxious architect that I'm
Yes.
shedding off, you know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that.
still. So I think us as adults, we need to continue to give ourselves permission that we don't need to fix this in the moment, but it is really important to just know, let the children know that like we love and care about them, and whenever you're ready, we're here. But
Yes.
somewhere along the way there has been this unspoken expectation or something that like the other person has to give you an answer right now. I'm ready to talk
Mhm.
about it, so you need to give me an answer right now, which is not
Yeah.
accurate. You
No.
know, because true respect and space and time comes from giving that person permission to take
Hmm.
their time.
Yeah. And allowing that and being able to have the words of like, I know you want to have that right now. I'm just not ready.
Yeah.
And be and just know. And some kids, I mean, that's a whole teaching somebody. Maybe you might have to teach them how to say that or teach them the words to say that. But
Hmm.
yes, you're right. Slowing down is so important and holding the boundary of not feeling like you have to fix it as a parent and letting them come to you. But the only way they're going to come to you is if you have that connection and you have that closeness already, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And that it's
Yep.
such like
Yep.
it's weird. It starts when they're very little and then it kind of grows with them. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's hard, especially in middle school because they don't want to talk to you really as much anymore.
Right. Right. Well, and then too, you know, yeah, they don't want to talk to you as much. That's just normal.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's like they know everything because it's that
Yes.
fine age, right? And you're like, cool. Cool, cool, cool. And when you're ready, when you're in a receiving place, I've got a couple suggestions if you want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And then also, dear parents, please be ready because they want to finally talk about everything at bedtime, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, that's still happening. That doesn't go
Yeah.
away. So,
No.
the amount of things that I've been learning too, and you know, because we instantly want to like file it off and fix it. And it's like, but we still need to create safety right before we go into slumber, right? Because
Yeah.
that's how our brain is talking to us and setting us up for the next day. So it's super important to just speak life over these kids. And sometimes things don't need to be fixed right at bedtime either, except for
Mhm.
love and connection.
Yeah. Yo, you're right. Yeah. Bringing up hard things at bedtime, especially is it's not helpful for anybody.
No, 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 it
And
never
so, yeah. So
is.
holding the boundary again of when that can happen and making sure the
Yes.
child knows, that we're going to revisit it, but right now it's time. Yeah. It's time to go to bed.
Yeah. And it's also, I think, really important too to um release all expectations. Release all
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
expectations that we have of any of these conversations. Because I've again, I've been learning that so much recently of like letting go of the outcome of what I think something should be
Mm-hmm.
because yeah.
Yeah, give yourself grace. Give it just like, yeah, just a grace and breath and like it's all going to be okay. And getting
Yeah.
support if you need support and just doing, I mean, we're all doing the best we can.
Now, what if you have you come into like I don't know, in your world, have you had an experience where two students or one, I mean it really just is like bully behavior like so bad, you know, and it feels that all the tools, all the tricks, all the things that you've done, how would you handle something like that?
Well, it's important to know the distinction between conflict resolution versus the bullying because the
Mm,
bullying is more of like a power differential.
yeah,
Uh, and so it's really important to know, are these kids friends? Is this like an equal thing? Or is this kid really like after? So kind of knowing who's
who
taking the
players
power,
are.
who's not.
Yeah.
I always love to connect with the parents about it. I really worked on and will work on helping the victim have find their voice, because you can't really solve that specific issue a lot of times, because it's going to have, I mean, in my experience, it happens again in the classroom when you're not there, when the adults are not paying attention. So really working with the child that is the victim and really teaching them language and using their voice and teaching them the words to use and to feel confident. And then with the bully, here again, it's helping them figure out what is happening. Why, where is this behavior, the why behind it? Why are they doing, like, why are they feeling they need this power? So it's like two separate issues, and both of them
Yeah.
need parents working on them. Um, and both of them are hard because both kids are missing something. There's something wrong for with both, not with the child, but there's something missing in the way that they are communicating, because the victim is not able to state the need and the other person feels like they have to have power. And
Right.
so, and it probably happens in other relationships besides with those two.
Yeah.
And
And
so, yeah.
yeah, I was going to say too, and what they're seeing sometimes modeled outside of like school day.
Yeah, and like what's happening at home, how are people treating each other? And so it's very, I think it's complicated because a lot of times too, what'll happen is both people will go into the fight, flight, or
Yep.
freeze. And
Yep.
so then you're working in a mode of your brain where you can't even really function.
Right.
So it's learning how to not get like learning how to have a relationship where you're not in that fight, flight, freeze. And so confidence, learning how the words to use. It's hard. It's really, I think bullying is very tough because there's so many components to it. And so I think it starts at home,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
um, having the connection, kind of where we started with this conversation, having connection with your kids to where you're having these conversations, you're setting boundaries.
Yeah. And I've ran into a couple of situations where there's some parents who eh, call it generational, call it whatever family values or like their culture, could be all of these things, past traumas, wounds, hurts that haven't been dealt with, and they're just in it. I really want to give all kids permission
Hmm.
to think differently and to know that they are not their family's trauma, that they have permission to take the good and leave the bad that doesn't work for
Hmm.
them. I think a lot of kids need permission to know that they can create their own path
Yeah.
and create their own internal monologue. Again, just back to that internal monologue, when and having the discernment and the inner knowing that if they can feel and see and sense that something is right, and this is probably more like tweens and teens,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and young adults, but when they can really start understanding that discernment, really giving them permission to create their own path, because I
Hmm.
think that needs to be talked about a little bit more.
No, I agree. Because you are a part of a family unit, and as you get older, you start seeing what is healthy, what is not. And so learning that it's okay if you want to start learning a different way. I mean, this is still your family, but maybe you don't
Yeah.
like how conversations might happen in your home or how people talk to each other.
Yep.
Um, and that
Yep.
usually, yeah, you're right, this doesn't happen until they're older and they start kind of
Right.
seeing what is good and what is not so good. And you can still love your family and be part of it, but know that there's maybe a better way to talk to people.
Hmm.
Um, and then learning, yeah, that's what's so important about teachers and people that work with the kids, because they can show them all these different ways of communicating and connecting.
Yeah. Yep. And just and teaching these kids that it doesn't need to be this big thing. It can just very
Yeah.
respectfully be like, that doesn't work for me. And
Yes.
and I have seen change in other adults when kids have that language and that bravery to, and I say stand up, but like when they have the, and I don't mean stand up, but like when they have the inner strength and the confidence to know that like, hey, I didn't like it when you did that. How really
Hmm.
powerful that one sentence can be to helping an adult change. I've seen it. a handful of times, and it's been really beautiful to watch.
That's amazing. That's really cool.
Yeah. So
Like,
for all the
yeah.
kids, yeah.
Well, I think that we've talked about a lot of really cool stuff. I know you have to go
I know.
soon, and
I
I do too.
do.
I do
But
too.
I do want to catch up again very, very soon because I did take another class that I think is super important to talk about. You
Yeah.
know how I feel about the phones,
Yes.
and it has been a little bit of a stuck point of like for me finding a balance online too. But there's a lot of new data that's coming out about phones and some of the harms that are happening
Yeah.
to like these tweens and teens and how it's changing their brains and how again as parents we need to step in and step up and not allow it, right?
Yeah.
And not allow so much accessibility, but also for teens again and tweens to start learning that discernment that
Hmm.
their life isn't in that phone because they're disassociating so much in person dysregulation, and then that can also feed into this bullying
Yeah.
behavior. And then the scarier bigger thing is the rise of suicide rates because of all of this together. So it's
Yeah,
really
definitely. Let's do it.
concerning.
We can do it like next month or something. Let's plan it.
Yeah,
And
I'm in. Let's do it. Yeah, for
okay.
sure.
Well, thank you. Well, if
Yeah.
you have any questions, if you've watched this whole thing and you're like, I really need more or want to talk about
Yeah.
this more in depth, you can contact me, contact Jamie. I'm
Yep.
always around, and yeah, we'll be here
Yep.
to support you.
Yeah, for sure. Always. Anything anybody needs help with, man, I'm here to listen, or if I have anything insightful, I'm definitely here to share it. I think the younger that we can get these tools into kids and even adults, then I went through a really hard time, and if I would have had some of these tools that I have now, then
Hmm.
maybe some of it could have been a lot different.
Yeah.
So it's just very important.
Well, thank you. I agree with you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll be in
Thank
touch
you.
and we'll meet
Okay.
again soon. All right.
Sounds
Bye.
good. Have a good day.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.